sitting there with a Supercuts haircut, you're getting drunk on watered-down vodka cranberries like a 14-year-old girl, and you're wearing a 44 when you should be wearing a 42 regular. Honestly, I don't know if I should help you or euthanize you. Welcome in to the Bro 4 Squad podcast, where we are just a bunch of bros drinking beer and talking movies. This is episode 217. Thank you so much for checking us out. I'm your host, the Mayor, Jeff Hornacek. Before we get started with the movie discussion tonight, let's go around and meet the fellow bros with me. We start with the American hero, Nate Thurmond. And Nate, I think I know the answer to this question, but have you ever had a leopard thrown at you in a fight?
Well, I guess you're doing this for the audience. I'm not really sure because I have. You were there at the zoo when this happened. And I mean, to be honest, it was kind of your idea to break into the zoo. We kind of got sidetracked at the leopards, but ultimate goal was the polar bears, which we never got there. So, long story short, yeah, and you know it, so it's kind of weird that you ask.
It was really a two birds with one stone situation. We wanted to see the polar bears, and I left my fanny pack in there with my favorite chapstick.
That is true, and Jeff does like to finish his chapsticks down to the bottom, so it was kind of a principle thing at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Finish what you start. Jesus said that.
I think so.
Next we go to our legal counsel, Ronnie Cycli. Ronnie, if I visit a foreign village and I hear a young girl singing that I like, I can just take her, right?
I mean, you have to give 2 coins. That's a fair market value.
Yeah, as you're in the car. Okay. It's like, we have rules. We're not apes.
Yeah, no, I don't want to go into court and be like, I'm sorry, my client did not throw 2 coins at her.
Like, Horns, this could have all easily been avoided. We could have either settled out of court or this wouldn't have even got to trial if you would have just dropped 2 fucking coins. All right, well, on the Bro 4 Squad podcast, we start every episode off with the most important thing in any bro's life, and that is chest day. So I guess to lead into this, Nate, why don't you tell the people how we got here? Because what Cycli is going to do for us tonight is actually the result of him having to pay up on a bet that he lost to you that happened on the Bro 4 Squad podcast.
Yeah, so we're here today to pay up on a bet from our movie Jeopardy episode that Cycli lost at. And whenever the punishment was being decided, I was thinking, what can be embarrassing? And I don't think this is really too embarrassing. It just kind of triggered in my head, thinking back to embarrassing things that I'd done in the past. And getting up in front of a class and like reading a 5-page paragraph that you had to write in high school or middle school was always kind of embarrassing for me. And I didn't want to get up in front of people and do a public speech or anything. So I thought we'd just throw it back a little bit and assign Cycli with a high school style paper writing assignment. So I've assigned him a movie. He's had to watch that, and now he's written the essay to give a speech on today's pod. So I'm pretty excited. This is a movie. I kind of copped out on this one because I've been wanting lots of bros on the pod to watch this movie and no one has. So I was like, this is easy out to get someone to watch it. So I signed Cycli with RRR, the Indian movie that came out 2 years ago now, I think. Won Best Original Song at the Oscars that year. So this was kind of their attempt to throw their hat in the ring for Best Picture at the Oscars and really get some buzz around their movie industry. But I love the movie. I wanted other people to watch it. It's like 3 hours, so it's a bit of a task. But that pretty much sums it up. That's where we're at right now.
And on your recommendation, I watched the film. Did Banner see it as well?
I don't think he's gotten
I
through
don't remember
all of
him
it,
saying anything about it if he has.
Okay.
No.
Well, Cycli obviously saw it. So you've gotten 60% of the pod to see it. So
The
There
better
you go.
60%. The other
tell anyone
60%
else.
sucks.
Yeah.
I don't know if the math is mathing, but we'll take it.
We'll figure it out later.
All right, Cycli, I'll toss it to you, and then afterwards I'm sure we'll have questions or jumping off points. But this is really your baby now, so go ahead and take the reins.
Well, let me start before I start. Thank you very much, first of all, for this opportunity. I am going to be a little redundant. Some things were already said that I actually discussed in this article, but I'm also going to upload this presentation or this paper into our squad blog on bro4squad.com so you can go read it. Or if anyone who isn't listening to this episode, I'm giving some context to this. So apologies to the people listening out there if I repeat myself a little bit. So here I go. my paper on RRR.
Does it have a title, or is it just
Yeah,
like
it's
an
called
essay?
RRR.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
In loss, there is great shame, humiliation, and embarrassment. There's usually a silver lining that you hope to learn at least from the mistakes you made that led to defeat. And I experienced this pain in the game of movie trivia Jeopardy against our own American hero, Mr. Nate Thurman. It was a fierce battle, both building leads, then losing those leads. But going into Final Jeopardy, I could taste victory. Glory was near. I entered that final round with a comfortable $400 lead. The winner would get to select any movie for the loser to watch. The worst movies I could imagine entered my mind on how best I was going to torture Nate. But suddenly, upon hearing the final question, my brain went blank. Possibly due to the bourbon I was drinking, more probably because I was drunk off the power of imminent victory. I had no answer, nothing but a half-assed guess, and all my hope rested on Nate getting the question incorrect. But Nate was more than a worthy opponent. He didn't let the moment affect him. He answered correctly. He was the victor. Fear overcame me. What monstrosity of a film was he going to make me watch? What was I to endure for a few hours? I envied prisoners of war and other tortured souls in this moment, for they had it easy. But Nate was a kind bro, a merciful bro. He assigned me a film that he said he enjoyed, and he just wanted me to watch so he had someone else to talk about it. A 3-hour Tollywood epic film called RRR. Little did I know this incredible adventure that awaited me. Set in 1920s British rule of India, the film focuses on two real-life revolutionaries, Alluri Siddharama Raju and Kora Bhim. While the two very real people were fundamental in the Indian freedom, they never met in real life. And the film was created due to coincidences in their lives and of these Indian heroes. And the filmmakers wanted to imagine what would have happened had they met and become friends in real life. Now, as we constantly state on the show, that a film's opening doesn't need to be the best scene, but it needs to set the tone. The film nails the opening, immediately bringing in the viewer to see the cruelty of the colonial Brits against the indigenous Indians. The governor's wife stealing a child purely due to entertainment that the girl had provided. The governor throwing 2 coins to her mother. That's what an Indian's life was worth to them. This was a central theme of the film. We repeatedly see the British viewed that the Indians are not even worthy of being killed with a bullet, as the bullet itself is more valuable than their life. The moment serves as the motivation for one of our heroes, Beam, the brother of the kidnapped girl, swearing that he'll risk all to return his sister to their village, back to her mother. Our other revolutionary, Raju, is shown first working for the British, someone with an intense and honestly insane sense of duty and loyalty. Motivated by a secret ambition, his true alliances are unknown. And after being at the right place at the right time, Reem and Raju happen to meet and work together to save a random child. This experience forms a deep friendship between our leading men, but little do they know they are working against each other, or a better way to say it. This is an unforeseen turn of fate, which has culminated in this friendship. It is yet to be seen if this will end in bloodshed. Daro doom, daro doom, daro doom, doom. I won't get into the plot specifics of this film due to the fact that the less you know, the better it is. After I was assigned the film, I decided not to read or look anything up beforehand. I went in completely blind. But what I found was a film that had everything you can imagine. A visual spectacle that blends fantasy and action within a historical drama, with vibrant imagery, colors, stunning cinematography, incredible dance sequences, fantastic choreography, and incredibly over the top action scenes. And I mean, like ridiculously over the top that it would probably make Michael Bay blush. Logic takes the back seat and entertainment grabs the wheel. But in between the absolute insanity of the film was a story of incredible death and complication in duty, friendship, family, and suffering. And I want to give an extra props to the actors in this film, Rama Rao Jr. and Bram Charan, who had incredible chemistry. As the film is so over the top, it easily could have become a disaster if it wasn't performed with a certain ability. It's a cinematic roller coaster that will have you wanting to immediately jump back in line. So if you've never seen a Tollywood or Bollywood film, let RRR be your introduction into their productions. You have to suspend all belief, or suspend disbelief and sense of realism out the window, and just enjoy the adventure you're about to go on. So thank you to Nate Thurman. Thank you for beating me. Thank you for being a better man than I. Thank you for giving me some of the most fun 3 hours one can have when watching a movie. I shall never forget your grace and kindness. And if ever given the opportunity to one day make you watch a film, I'll still probably be an ass and force you to watch Bikini Hackers or Cannibal Holocaust. Thank you.
I wouldn't expect anything less.
I gotta say that exceeded even my expectations,
Wow.
which were pretty high.
I had a lot of fun writing that.
Very eloquently
That's
said.
awesome.
Did you have more fun watching the movie or writing the essay?
I think it was equal. It very much. Well, honestly, it's like that movie. It was so fun. I think I was smiling because it's so ridiculous. I was just having fun. Like once you take out American contextualizations of like how our historical dramas are, like it just like enjoy the ride. Man, that was fun. I'm so glad you made us watch it.
It definitely goes for it in every sense of the.
Yeah.
All right. I have a lot of things that makes me think of, and we'll do this pretty informally because maybe at some point we do a review on this. But there's just so much to talk about. I almost feel like pigeonholing ourselves into the 5 categories is tough. First off, I didn't realize that the character Beam was the brother of the girl that was kidnapped.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just thought he was like the village protector, and like if this ever happened, he was like Liam Neeson and taken and would.
Yeah, that was an interesting. It was a cool theme to me because, like, Raju was actually. Spoilers, actually, if you haven't seen RRR, fast forward a few minutes. But Raju's working towards an actual goal of full-on rebellion, right? Like, and infiltration. But Raju or Beam, he's just simply looking at it as a matter of getting his sister back. And it's really, I just love that like contextualization of like what kind of something snowball effect, right? Like this one little act of trying to save your sister, in this film obviously leads to revolution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it was, and you saying their names, I haven't seen it in a while. Oh, did I freeze?
No, we can hear you at least.
Yeah, but I can still hear you.
Okay, good. I actually got confused about halfway through. I thought they were calling one guy one name and one guy another. And I think one guy just was called 2 different names during the movie at 2 different points.
So Beam had a secret identity.
That's what it was.
He was posing as a random Muslim man in Delhi, I believe, and that's that's when he befriended him, and then obviously he was secretly from that village.
But just to clarify, Beam's like friends in the city, some of them knew about his mission, right? They were actually kind of like aiding him.
Yeah,
or was he keeping secret? Okay.
Yeah, he had that little convent, for lack of better words, that knew his secrets and knew all that kind of stuff.
Those guys,
because of course Raju's chasing his other brother, or I don't know if they're brothers or symbolic brothers, like the whole time, and that's how they come across each other. So yeah, Beam was absolutely working with others.
Yeah, and them like actually meeting and teaming up. There's a bunch of ridiculous scenes in this, but that one where they're over the river and swinging off the bridge and teaming up to help the person in the river.
The use of the flag. They do it's like a really good point guard with like his power forward in a pick and roll. Like they don't actually need one. They know what the play is. Like, oh, you grab a flag? I know what that means.
We have a deeper connection.
Yeah, that was, I think that's the moment of the film where you kind of have to let go, because up till that point, I guess the scene where Raju is like working with the British and like he goes into that massive chaotic crowd and mob.
Yeah.
And goes and arrests that one guy. It's insane, but like
it's ridiculous. And then Beam with the training of him with the tiger.
Yeah, the tiger. And then at that point you just have to let go. Like
pretty much.
That was, and that song, the Daro doom doom, like that.
Yeah.
The there's no subtlety in these lyrics. They're as descriptive of the plot as it gets.
And that's not even the one that won the award.
Was it the one at the party that the British chick invites them to? Not to, yeah.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. Great scene, by the way. First of all, like I got to give credit to the actors. Like again, like I wrote, like not just for their acting ability, but you know how much work that takes, like between the dance and action scenes. Like that's incredible ability.
Yeah, the physicality, especially, that's an intense dance. Like it's not like Darren's dance groups. Yes, offense, where they're just like kind of sitting around, stepping and rocking side to side. It's like a fucking workout. It's like a Zumba class.
Yeah, that was kind of the whole point. Yeah, near the end, because they're basically doing last man standing. Who can last the longest? Who has the endurance to last? Um, and that was another nice touching moment too. He threw the dance for him,
Yeah,
Bean could win.
That's true.
that's like the pain and them like the visuals of when they realize who each other are and
Hmm.
that battle, and then just really like again there's a good by the way, if you're thinking of watching this and the film is 3 hours, I watched it in 2 hour and a half increments, and there's a fantastic
That's what I did.
halfway point stopping point. Like I
Same.
mean it
Yeah.
literally would be like an old film having an intermission. It could not
Yeah.
be a better stop. So I mean I watched it in 2 increments. I probably could have kept going. The film is just that entertaining. um, but I don't know. I was drawn in immediately with the characters. I didn't know where they were going with it. I honestly didn't know anything about it. So, because the slow like plot reveal and kind of twist, like where one is imprisoned and then the other is imprisoned, and they kind of
Hmm.
switch roles, they switch power, and it was just and I think my favorite part was when Beam is being flogged in front of the entire mob, and he's resisting the torture, and he sings that song. I don't remember that what name of that
Like when he's
song.
getting the lashing.
Yeah.
Man,
Um
that's a
that
powerful
was
scene.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
intense.
And like we said, like we've already said on here, like there were some ridiculous scenes, the CGI, all the cinematography that they did. There are some heartwarming and very touching and emotional scenes in this too. So I think Cyclo said this earlier, like, and I've said this to everyone who I watched this, like this film literally has everything in it. And I think it was kind of their idea. Like I said earlier, they were trying to throw everything they could to get like a big blockbuster Hollywood film out there to get recognition. So they really threw everything in this film, as far as romance, bromance, action, heart, crying. I mean,
Yeah.
name it, it's in there.
Comedy. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's where the film succeeds it, because you see a lot of films like this that try to do like this, and it's so easy to fail. They're like a cheesecake factory. Like you have too many things in here, man. Like I'd rather have you be good at one or two things rather than have you be okay at 500 things. And this film like really like plays the line consistently, and I think it would have taken one thing to go wrong for like to just collapse within itself. um because like yeah, the film isn't perfect. It is gets a lot of convoluted at points and um things of that nature, but it really just like I don't know, at every moment they're kind of, when you think they've gone too far, and it kind of lures you back in, and you're never actually thrown off by its ridiculousness.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you had to classify it as a genre, I would just say like entertaining, because
Yeah.
you can't really pin it down to one. Like it does kind of dip its toe in everything, but the story is strong enough and like I think the perfect amount of dense, where it's like, especially the like the sort of flashback with Raju, where it shows his actual character's motivations. That could lose some people, but to me, it really just adds depth to them, and it like kind of it's sort of like a shot in the arm for the story at that point in the film. It kind of like reinvigorates your interest in it, and you're like, oh, okay, there actually is a wrinkle here that I didn't see coming. So I think it has a perfect amount of plot, but not too much or too little to throw in with all these other genre bits. Because especially adding musical to it, like how
Mm-hmm.
many movies do you know that are like musical, fantasy, comedy, definitely action? If you had to pin one, I might say action. If you had to
Yeah.
pick just one
Probably.
genre.
And I would say I don't know how much you guys have ever watched like Bollywood or Tollywood movies. Like that's not too foreign for them. Like literally, they kind of are always kind of over the top. They do have amazing dance court like sequences and things of that nature. But again, just because you have that recipe, it doesn't always succeed. It doesn't always land, and it's not easy to do that because they're doing so much. And I mean, to me too, obviously this is a historical fiction, much like Braveheart. While it has real characters, the movie itself isn't true. uh, and but I did like it made me want to read about like who these people were too,
Hmm.
and see their impact on what happened. So because as much as we all know about this era, like that it happened at the British, owned India and Pakistan's, like I don't know anything about actually what went down.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. It's like historical fiction, which is
Yeah.
definitely not. I mean, it's done in books a lot, but I definitely don't think we have many film adaptations. Yeah, I had a
No.
few just like funny observations that I want to bring up. And again, me poking fun at this movie, it's all done out of love. There are times where I will say it is done out of malice and hate to make the movie look worse. This is not one of those instances. First off, I have to get your guys' interpretation of this and if it's done partially as a joke or if they're being 100% serious. And I'm not sure which one I find funnier. Okay, so the disclaimer in the beginning of the film where it says, no animals, it gets very specific with the types of animals. Says no animals were harmed in this movie. They were all CGI. I mean, that has to be a gag, right? Because the things done with animals, it's like, yeah, no shit. Someone throws a leopard at another person. Like, do you think on set we had actual leopards that the guys like jump flip and chucking at someone else?
I have to imagine it's an Indian legal requirement because that's, or they're really aware. I was like, one, the CGI is good, but it's not that good.
No.
Yeah.
I think it's a legit claim, and I think that makes it better. It's so ridiculous.
I know. I don't know which one is funnier. If like they thought to put it in as a gag, or it's not even the CGI is fine. It's probably not quite where it needs to be, but it's good. But just the mere things that happen to animals in this movie, like who in their right fucking mind would think any of it was practically done?
So
Yeah.
when that, I will say when that came up, I was thinking, I've seen a lot of foreign films. I've seen a lot of movies that like you really can't. You're like, I mean, not even high budget. You're like really can't tell. You're like, how could they have done that without hurting the animal? And I was like, oh, well, this is an Indian film, and I was like, kind of like, I wonder what it's gonna be like. And then the movie starts like like one of the like early scenes is that whole tiger chase, and I'm like, no, that's so freaking obvious. That like I was like, oh no, this is not one of those movies where they make it like way too real.
Yeah, and then like the scene at the palace, like I mean,
Oh, I love that scene.
Come on, which it's incredible. Like I can honestly say something I've never seen on film.
Yeah.
Like, is there anyone who like goes home like I don't know, man, that seemed fucked up. That some of that could have been real.
They changed those tigers. They trained those tigers to kill all those people.
Yeah. Another thing that I had, just kind of as a joke, if you take all the slow motion scenes in this movie and just make them regular speed, I think the runtime would be an hour and a half.
Yeah, but where's the fun in that?
No,
that's a really
you're right.
funny and accurate observation.
But
Yes.
there is so much fucking slow motion. Like and I'm not really complaining because it was pretty entertaining, but it's like half the movie is literally. I don't think I'm being that hyperbolic.
That's funny.
So I was just wondering like how much, because on Netflix, at least on my iPad, you can watch something at 1.25 speed. And I was like, with RRR, the whole movie would basically just feel like regular.
You'd be like, why is this movie not going fast? What is wrong with this setting?
All right, I have two more things. One, the final scene, one of my favorite things, and it just has to be brought up. Can two people actually fight better with one of them being piggybacked by the other?
Okay.
Is that actually an advantage?
My favorite thing about this, again, I mentioned this on the lyrics. There is no subtlety to this movie, right? There's no like make you wonder. I guess like they quite specifically show them training in this method. And I remember those earlier scenes. And I'm like, why are they training like that? And then my wife goes at the end, she's like, oh, they're gonna do that thing. I'm like, oh, yeah,
now,
that's why they showed them doing that specifically.
Now, I don't need an explanation. You could simply just say, yes, horns, they fight better like that. And I'd be like, all right, I'll shut the fuck up. That's cool. But is part of it possibly that Raju has been like tortured so much that like his lower extremities weren't at full function, and so he had to ride on?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah,
like
let's go with that.
Yeah.
It's also just
but then
cool
two
visual.
scenes later, he's out in the forest, back on his feet, killing everyone with the bow and arrow.
Well, yeah, he had 2 scenes to heal. I don't understand.
Yeah, that's true.
Is that not enough time to get your HP back up?
That was God. There was some epic scenes like that ending scene too, like in the forest and leading up to that. What was it like? Fire and water, all the R's. Again, we only got 2 R's, by the way, so I was very confused about that. We only got fire and water.
Was the other one roar?
No, there wasn't a third one. That's not even what the movie is named for. But do you remember they had those cutaway sequences?
Yeah. One of them
like,
comes in like 35 minutes into the film.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking the third one would be Air or something, but no.
Rise, Roar, and Revolt, I think.
Yep, in that order usually.
Yep.
One last thing I wrote: best meet cute ever. Slash a woman's tires and then demand entry into her home.
And don't be able to communicate in any sense.
And he like accidentally tells her there's actually a bus station nearby, and Roger's like, "You're cock blocking yourself."
It's just it's kind of got some Saltburn vibes there, slashing the tires.
Wow. Very
true.
Wow.
Spoiler for Saltburn. I don't know one out there will be able to piece that together.
No, sorry. Yeah.
Nate, what was your? And then I want to ask slightly the same question. Of all the plot threads in this, if you had to discard one, what was your least favorite in the film?
I'm going to take that question and throw it to Cycly because he watched it more recently, because I want more time to digest. Hold on. I'll think about it, but Cycly, I want you to answer first.
It's hard because there was no chemistry like within the love story, in all honesty, but I understand why they had to set that up, because he needed to gain entrance
to get
into
invited.
the governor's mansion.
Yeah.
I don't know if there would have been a different way. I mean, maybe they could have had him work on the guy's tire, right? Like he was at a shop and like help move them back into the mansion. In a friendly way. I never felt that one. It never felt like that was the only part of the story. Like the friendship had more chemistry than the relationship. But obviously, again, you don't have the dance sequences. You don't have all of that. So like, while I didn't feel a connection to that, that there was just some good stuff we got out of it. I don't know if it's necessarily a plot line. I just think they just could have condensed, things. But again, that's not typical for a Bollywood to Hollywood movie, right? Like they go over the top, so it's kind of hard to like, I don't know, pinpoint where they needed to cut back. Whereas, in my opinion, there's plenty of places, but they just don't do that.
Yeah. Nate, how about you? Or just need time to think?
No, I'm ready now. So yeah, it's just a piece of the film that kind of left me feeling unsettled and I guess sad, more or less. And like I said, it's been a while since I've seen this. I'm trying to piece it together, but let's see. Beam has finally got his sister, and they're running away, and there's the whole fight scene. But during that scene, there's some conflict because Beam thinks that Raju is not trying to help them and actually trying to kill them, and so they're running away from him at that time. That scene, and like I said, it's not necessarily like a full plot thread, but that scene, I don't know, I just didn't like the way I didn't like the taste it left in my mouth, and I feel like it could have been done differently. Ultimately, there was resolve, but I don't know, I didn't like the way that made me feel. It made me sad.
That's fair. And this is a movie that does sort of run the gamut of emotion at times.
Yeah, for sure.
Lots of betrayal, lots of heartbreak.
Yeah.
The plot thread I could have done without is it just sort of felt like unnecessary, and it is really like Raju's whole the whole plot with his fiancée Sita.
Oh,
and when she's like healing Beam, and he makes the connection through like the necklace that they're fiance and husband. I understand that it was kind of necessary to get Beam to a place where he could like understand Raju's like mission and what his like goal was in infiltrating the British military to go find him and rescue him. But I feel like that all would have meant more coming from Raju to Beam than from his fiance, who we really had just met pretty recently.
Okay, so I'm really glad you brought that up. At the end, and again, I think this is very typical again for Dollywood, Bollywood, but like at the end, there's always a dance sequence, and then we got the main characters dancing, but then we really the main point of the dancing was Raju's wife or fiance or whatever it was, and my wife and I looked at each other like, I was like, why is she the focal point of this dance? She was on screen for like 3 minutes of this movie.
Right, we just met you.
Like I'm like,
it's like 7 minutes in a 3-hour movie.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because that was something I definitely noticed. I mean, I get why it was thrown in there, but
I guess maybe they realized like at that point in the movie, Raju like kind of seems like a dick, and in order to humanize him, like we really need to give him a lot of connection to his village.
Yeah, so you talked about that scene, his kind of his story, And yeah, I think that's why they ended up having it as long as they did. Again, I don't think it was necessary, but at the whole time, Raju is like literally when he's in it, you like don't even know if he's a robot. Like he has such a distinctive sense of like
Yeah.
duty. And again, that mob scene that really sets the tone is like if he's told to do something, he'll fucking do it. And you just don't see that side of him until like I mean you see the friendship side of it, but the whole time they're close, which is the majority of the half of the movie. His other part, he's in prison, so you don't get that. It's just like you just think he's playing a part, like playing a role.
Right.
So yeah, I would say that's fair.
Also, it's pretty fucked up that after he killed like or beat the shit out of like 1,000 people, just to get that one guy that he didn't get promoted.
Yeah. Well, again, it shows how the Indians were treated.
For real. Yeah, his sales numbers were the best, and they passed him up for the major role.
Some bullshit.
I was curious. I didn't look this up. I don't know if you guys did. I was curious what the British thought of this film.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, what are they going to say?
I didn't ask anyone.
Obviously, it's always great to see the late Ray Stevenson in anything. I wish he was in this more. Like, especially opening the movie with him, I was like, fuck yeah, is he going to be like and he is, I guess, the main antagonist, but he's just not on screen as much as I would like.
Yeah.
Was anyone else thinking like the mom was definitely killed in that opening scene, and then at the end of the movie, you're like, she was alive? Like they fucking.
Oh yeah,
bashed her
that was
head,
a little
like,
weird. I thought they made
like,
a point to show her she was dead.
Yeah,
too.
I was very confused by it. I was like, or did the movie like forget that they killed her because it had been 3 hours since we had seen her?
That's possible
like,
too. Yeah.
She like shows up on set, and the director's like, "Did you die?"
And
I don't know.
She doesn't even have a scar on her face. Like,
No, we'll figure it out.
Anyone in this movie can heal if you give them just a couple scenes off.
well, I've never been to India, so it's very possible.
Yeah. Could be.
All right, that's all I had. Do you guys have anything else for RRR? I'm sure at some point we should do a like full-time review on it. I would say a commentary, but I don't know if I could do it.
Man, that'd be rough.
Yeah. It's exhausting, yeah, in a good way.
It would have to be pieced together. So,
we've done Titanic.
Yeah, that's that's it for me.
No, I just like I said, I mean this when I say this. When I wrote this in the article is like great recommendation because I think that's a movie that maybe I would have eventually watched on my own. I've seen it on Netflix multiple times, but it's definitely a movie I get, Nate, that you would be like, hey, I watched it and it'd be fun to talk to other people about it. So like, thanks for that recommendation because you could have had your way with me, you know, and you took me to a nice dinner instead.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that was classy, Nate. This would actually be a fun commentary if we were like in person for it, like in that.
That's true. Yeah, that'd be good.
All right, moving on to the second part of our show, our protein shake. We go around and talk about what is in our cup, also known as what have we watched lately. All right, two things off the top. I saw RRR.
Wow. Oh my God, me too. We should talk about it.
Yeah, not now, but some other time for sure.
Yeah, sounds good.
Delete that off my list. One other thing that Ronnie Cycli watched with me as well as Brian Banner. We did a movie commentary on Barbie, which when this episode is out, that will have dropped already. So just go check that out on our channel, on our audio podcast feed as well. Cycli, anything you want to tease about the Barbie movie commentary for our listeners?
I honestly don't remember.
I think we did a really good job of Classic Squad. Like sometimes we make decent like points about the movie and the message, and then we'll go to like a fart joke.
That was about to say, like jokingly, we actually do a great analyzation, I think, of not just the movie itself, but of like the timing of it and the influence of it. So like it was a really fun one to do because that movie itself is just like entertaining and just like on the surface, he doesn't take itself too seriously, but like so the commentary itself was like that. It was cool to be a part of that one.
Yeah. And thank you to Nate Thurmond for letting us use your Max subscription to watch it.
Anytime.
And Nate's just like the good guy of the podcast.
I know.
Yeah. Try.
All right, Nate, what's in your cup? What have you watched lately?
Let's see. I'm trying to think. I was looking through my list here. What I talked about last time. I'll keep it short and simple. One thing I watched really recently, so I know I didn't talk about this on any other pod, is American Nightmare, the 3-series doc on Netflix.
I'm very interested in this. By the way, one of the best true crime trailers I've ever seen. If you haven't seen the trailer Netflix put out for it.
Yeah. So I honestly do not remember anything about this. It happened in 2015. And I think we were texting off pod, and Banner was saying that a lot of it has to do with the way it's presented and delivered, which that is true. But the way they present it and deliver it is exactly how it played out in real life. So a little backstory without giving, I don't want to give any spoilers because I think the way that it is presented episode by episode, there's only 3 episodes, but the way it's presented is huge.
Are they each like 40 minutes? Or
like 45 minutes.
Okay.
So this focuses on a couple. A woman gets kidnapped. Obviously, the blame is pointed towards the boyfriend. And that's basically all I'll say at this point. They have a story that they tell to the police force. There is some.
Where is this taking place again?
California.
Okay.
Around the Bay Area.
So are they like a pretty affluent couple? Like they're pretty well off?
I mean, basically middle class. I don't even think they've been dating that long at the time. They're both like physical therapists or something. They work in a hospital or physical therapy somewhere. But
are they like late 20s?
At the time, let's see. Yeah, I think late 20s is about right. But a ridiculous story unfolds and the twists and turns are pretty crazy. But like I said, the way it's presented is the way that it played out in real life. So if you know about it, then you may know what happens or what didn't happen. But I came into it pretty blind, and I watched this all in one night, stayed up past my bedtime because once I got past, and you know me, I like 10 o'clock, like I'm going to bed. Mm-hmm. It was like right around 10, finished the second episode. I said, fuck it. I have to see the third episode.
Yeah. I can see it being mad, like, damn it, I have to watch this now.
It's because I've been there where you're like, I'm either going to look this up and spoil it online.
Yeah.
Because I'm at the point of no return. So it's either watch it.
I'm just going to lay in bed like, what the fuck happens?
Yeah, so I couldn't do that to myself. So we went ahead and knocked all of it out in one night. So it's possible. And like I said, it's super interesting how everything played out. So I would highly recommend that one.
I think way more into true crime than my wife, but if the story is juicy enough, I can definitely get her to watch it. And this one sounds like one that if I sell it on the twists and turns, she won't be disappointed.
I'll try and convince her to watch it with you.
Okay. We've watched like the last 7 things together. Have probably been recommendations from you, so I think we have a good track record.
I'm on a good streak. Okay, I got some credit.
American Nightmares, right? That's what it's called?
Yep. American Nightmare. Netflix.
Okay. All right, Psycho, what do you got?
So I guess I'll start with True Detective season 4 on HBO.
Same.
I'm interested to hear, Jeff, you watched like the first episode or 2, right? 2?
No, I haven't checked this one out yet, which is weird because
okay.
Nate and I were obsessed with True Detective season 3. I think we actually did weekly reviews.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of my point I was going to bring up is like, so season 1, just maybe one of the best seasons of any show.
Television show. Yeah.
Just iconic, honestly. I think I mean, it was like just all around universally praised. There's a lot of high hopes season 2.
And Alexander Daddario's tits were in it.
Was there anything else?
They were.
Hey, what? I mean, that was the only part of the show. What are you?
Oh, I get. Well,
made
Michelle,
it the best series ever.
Yeah, Michelle Monaghan, I think, is like sort of kind of naked for a second too.
Yeah, but I mean, we do get Sydney Sweeney and Daddario together in White Lotus. I was like, if only we could have.
We don't see either of their tits in it though.
I know, like what a tease to have both of them in a show together. But yeah, so season 2, I don't know about you guys. I never finished it. I
never saw it. I never watched it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember it being like, ugh, I'm done with this. It just had we just were so not interested that we never even thought about it again.
Yeah, which is weird because the cast is awesome for season 2.
Yeah, I might maybe one day I'll revisit it. I don't know. Season 3, so I'm glad to hear that you guys really enjoyed it. My wife and I were enjoying it, and then I think we got like halfway through, and then I don't know, we maybe went on a trip or something, or did, like we just never finished it. Kind of, life got busy. It was one of those shows that after a while, we kind of like, well, if we're gonna watch it, we need to go back and start it over.
And so you decided to pick up on season 4 without finishing 3.
Exactly. Which is nice in an anthology show where I don't feel like,
That's
as
true.
big of a deal.
Yeah, whatever.
So what I will say so far is I love the setting. The Alaskan or the Arctic long night is a fascinating concept, right? It's real. So, 30 days or 35 days of no sunlight at all. This is on my bucket list, by the way, guys. Like, I don't want to like actually stay there the entire winter, but I do want to experience it for like, I don't know, 2 days. That would be cool. To be
Yeah, like how much would it fuck me up is what I'm wondering.
Yeah, I just want to see it. I just be like, hey, I did that. So I think it's a fascinating setting, right? We do have 30 Days at Night with Josh Hartnett, which I haven't seen in a long time, but Horns, I believe you've recently.
I'm going to talk about that next. Yeah,
good.
Just watch it.
Yeah, so let's pass over to you. But I think it's just a great concept of it, in a perfect setting for horror or murder or whatever. So that drew me in immediately. Jodie Foster as a cop. I mean, how can you say no to that? I mean, Silence of the Lambs is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, when has that
like,
worked before?
Yeah, so it's like, okay, I was drawn in, and so far, I'm liking it. Nate, I don't know how. Are you caught up, or where are you at?
Yeah, we watched the 3rd episode last night.
Okay, so all I'll say is again, some of the delivery and some of the performances, I'm just not like as into yet, but I'm hoping it builds on me. I'm interested in where we're going with the story. There's a lot of illusion or feeling that this is going supernatural with, which I really hope not, but because it's True Detective, so I don't anticipate that. But there's a lot of feeling about that, a lot of indigenous, folklore and all that kind of thing. So I'm interested to see where they're going with it, but I'm not sold. It's just not completely drawing me in, but it's not enough to not continue watching. So I'm still very intrigued on where the story is going. So Nate, I'm curious to know what you think.
I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I think it's the story isn't necessarily keeping me in there, but the acting is great. Loving Jodie Foster, loving some of the ancillary characters as well. I don't know off the top of my head, but Agent Navarro, she's been great in this. I don't know the actress's name.
It is a little weird. This is the first season where it's like there's really only one like really well-known actor in it.
Yeah, it's true
really...
because season.
Are you talking about the other girl, the Callie, right? I think her name is Callie Reese, if I'm saying that right.
Okay.
The indigenous cop.
Yeah, but she's been great. It's and like you were saying, like you don't know like how supernatural it's going to get or where it's going to go. Some of I'm still a little fuzzy on that because they've talked about a few things to where I'm like, are you going like full bore on this? Because there's been some conversations.
I haven't seen it, but I'd be shocked if they did that.
Again, I hope it's just a red herring, and I have some theories, but yeah I would be.
And they're kind of getting into like the indigenous people, like, and in that aspect, you do get kind of spiritual and those types of feelings. So yeah, I don't know how full in depth they're going to get, and some of the freaky things that are happening right now, I won't spoil anything, could go that way or could not go that way. So we're kind of on the fence right now. I don't think this is gonna top season. It's not gonna top season 1. I don't think it's gonna top season 3 either. But it could make up some ground here at the end. But yeah, I'm kind of in the middle on it right now.
Yeah.
Real quick, if someone listening has not seen season 1 of True Detective, skip ahead like 30 seconds or maybe a minute.
We're gonna talk about Dario's boobs.
Oh, damn it! No, what I was gonna say is, Nate and Cycly, correct me if I'm wrong, but season 1 for a little while also, and I don't know the analogy in season 4, also kind of teased a potential supernatural thing with like that cult.
For sure.
And then at the end it realized like, oh, this is just like a crazy cult people. So maybe it's kind of doing the same thing.
So this one's not so I always felt with season 1 they do hint at that. Absolutely agreed. I actually almost said that. But it's never so unexplained, right? Like it's easy to in your head while you're watching it once you settle a resolution of like how that worked. There's a lot of things in season 4, and I'm like, I mean, they're gonna have to come up with something really good
Oh wow.
to
Okay.
explain it. I don't know, Nate. Do you agree with that or no?
No, yeah, for sure. Like I said, it could go either way, but uh, not to spoil anything, but yeah, I feel like it's leaning one way, and like it's going to take quite a bit to explain out of it. But it's possible. I don't want to say anything to spoil anything, but I do have a theory that could make up for it.
Yeah, I'd like to hear that like later on.
Yeah, again, having not seen it for True Detective and like I think what that IP kind of represents to some people could be a really, really stupid risk to throw in like genre elements to it. But we'll see. I know, Cycly, you and I were always worried that like Saw was gonna do something like this, like Jigsaw was gonna be like fucking, I don't know, come back from the dead or something.
We always walked into the movie like, are they gonna do something like that?
Yeah.
Thankfully, they didn't, or did they?
Yeah, so I'm interested to check it out. Do we know how many episodes it is?
I mean,
Great question.
It's 10
Don't
total,
know.
but right now we're 3. Like they've all been 10, right?
9 or 10? Yeah, I don't know.
Most HBO shows usually follow around that formula, but yeah, right now we just finished the 3rd one.
Yeah, same.
This might be something I binge, like to catch up with the finale, or maybe like right when it ends.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame you. So far, there's nothing about it that I'm enjoying it, but there's nothing about it. It's like, dude, you got it. What are you doing? Like, fucking put it on right now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll have you guys be the first one through the wall, and then if you like it, then I'll watch it, and if you don't, then you guys had to waste your time, and I just get to sit here.
Yeah,
safe choice. Safe choice.
All right. Well, I guess this is a perfect segue for one of the two things that I watched, and actually, even though I did not yet dive into True Detective season 4, the concept of it from the marketing inspired me to watch this movie, which I don't know if I've seen it before, but I knew a lot about it. And that was the Josh Hartnett vampire movie 30 Days of Night, which is on Netflix right now, actually. So I recently took a flight, and it was like one of the things you could download on there. So I was like, fuck yeah, let me check this out. This was from 2007. And if you don't know the concept, it takes place in Barrow, Alaska, where Cycly was referring to, up near like, I'm sure there's several like cities affected by this where they're populated enough and close enough to the Arctic Circle. But the premise of the film and in the title is that for 30 straight days in Barrow, Alaska, they do not get sunlight. It's basically a perpetual night.
I believe Barrow, I think it changed names recently, but Barrow is the northernmost inhabited city in the United States.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's pretty cool.
Do you remember there was an ESPN show on their football team when we were actually,
yeah. Oh, wow. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. They like can't even play on grass, like they because obviously grass can't grow up there. I just remember that we were in high school when that show went down, and I think maybe coupled with the 30 Days of Night kind of sparked interest in Barrow, Alaska.
Yeah. Well, and like you were saying, Cycly, just wanting to see it, it's just such an interesting phenomenon as is, and then like what it would do to the human psyche, which I think there's a whole slew of ideas there for a movie. But naturally, the concept for any horror head is, well, vampires, obviously, one of their big weaknesses is light, sunlight. So what if there was a town where they could prey on humans for 30 days straight? I mean, the advantages they would have, and just like the mere idea for a film based on that is pretty fun to think about. And the cool thing about this movie is I think the depiction of vampires is just really fucking cool. Cycly, have you ever seen this, or just like seen clips and trailers of it?
I know I've seen it, and I'm pretty sure I saw it in 2007, so it might have been freshman year of college. I know I remember it, and I remember seeing like parts of it, but I don't remember the film enough to be like, oh, this is what happens. But I do remember enjoying it when I watched it. I mean, who knows? We could have watched it together. I just don't. It's been too long.
I think I'm in the same boat. I think I probably saw it when it came out, and it had been so long I went back to revisit it. But I thoroughly loved this movie. One of the coolest depictions. I'm kind of on a vampire kick now because I watched Last Voyage of the Demeter,
That's right.
loved it, loved this. The cast, pretty sneaky good. So you and I obviously are the big Hartnett heads. Watch the Hartnett Sons. We're in the middle of right now. Ben Foster is in this. He's actually the first vampire that we meet in the movie. And I know Nate, who's trying to get back onto the pod, is a huge Ben Foster fan, and he is definitely Ben Fostering it up, meaning like it's sort of like Jared Letoing it, where he gives his character like this weird like twang in his voice, and I don't know, it's you could just tell like he showed up to set with like ideas and shit that the director was like, who the fuck told you that your character does this stuff? He's like, well, actually, I kind of came up with it on my own. There he is. Nate's back. Nate, I was just saying Ben Foster is one of the vampires in 30 Days of Night.
Oh, dang. Okay.
And he definitely does like Ben Fosterisms. Like he added stuff to his character that you could tell the director's like, what the fuck? Like he does like a little.
It kind of works. Okay.
Yeah. He's like, I guess we'll do one take that way. But he does like this weird, like twangy voice that he has. And there's one monologue that his character has where I feel like he just made up the backstory of his character like that day. And they're like, maybe we'll keep, I don't know. Seems like a lot for one of the vampires.
Very, very Ben Fostery. So yeah, I'm just jumping back into this. Okay, so this one is labeled horror, and you know my stance on that. Where would you kind of put this one?
It's pretty fucking graphic and scary.
Okay. All right.
But the concept, like I said, it's really cool because again, 30 Days of Night in Barrow, Alaska, so 30 days without the sun rising. Yeah. And what a cool idea that what if a group of vampires figure that out, and that's when they happen to invade this town.
Dang it. I'm tempted, but we'll see.
Yeah. We'll see. And Melissa George is in it. Cyclee, she was in that movie Triangle that I told you to watch.
Oh, yeah, I remember that movie.
She's the main character. So she's one of those actresses where I'm like, how come you didn't like blow up? Like, you're a pretty good actress. She had a couple big roles. I think she was also
no to Harvey Weinstein, and that kept her out of the.
We joke that very realistically.
Yeah.
She's also in the Amityville Horror remake. She was cast as Ryan Reynolds' wife, so like she was getting some good roles around this time.
Yeah.
And she's a good actress. Everything I've seen her in, I've been pretty impressed with. So if you, I don't know, I was digging it, but it is definitely a horror movie.
Okay.
On Netflix now. All right, I only have one more thing, so I don't know if you guys want to go. Nate, do you have anything else you want to talk about that you saw?
Yeah, I'll throw something out there. Hold on, what was it? I saw actually a couple people's behest after watching Saltburn, Cyclee being one of them, requested I watch Talented Mr. Ripley.
Oh, I didn't know you watched it. That's cool. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was great, and it's interesting always going back and like watching one of those films that came out 20 plus years ago to see if it holds up. Because one thing I've seen going back to like the 90s or wherever and like watching movies, some of the tropes are outplayed. And so you can kind of predict where things are going or what's going to happen. I thought this one was still great. It was kind of weird watching it in reverse from Saltburn and then watching this because there are a lot of correlations. And someone at work.
Sorry, real quick, Nate. Our friend Derek Fisher and I always laugh about the Talented Mr. Ripley because I think the credits are like still rolling legitimately like 22 or 23 minutes into the movie. It's still showing like executive producer. I'm like, is this ever going to end?
No, they've got to set up for the entire movie. It's very important. You're good. But yeah, it was interesting going back because I was talking to someone at work, and like I said, multiple people suggested, "Oh, have you seen Talented Mr. Ripley?" I was like, "I haven't." So yeah, obviously go back and watch that, and yeah, it was great. Damon, really young Damon, very interesting role. I don't think you ever. Sorry, spoilers if anyone hasn't seen this 20-plus-year-old movie, but the one thing, like I said, overall loved it. The one thing I would have liked a little more on is maybe a little more backstory on Damon's character.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen it, but I remember.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's done on purpose, so we really don't
Probably.
know who he is, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They like show like he's getting paid to play piano somewhere. He's filling in and you haven't seen it in a while, so I understand trying to pull back on the memory.
Yeah, it's been a bit.
But yeah, then he just gets into his deceptive character and starts pulling the wool over everyone's eyes, and it was really cool mid-film whenever he was having to play the two characters and line everything up, and the way he had to meet with people and set other people up to meet somewhere, but then he knew they were going to leave before he got there, and that aspect of it was pretty ingenious, and I like the way that played out, and just seeing how the different ways he was doing that to make sure he was still playing his own character and then playing Jude Law's character as well.
Yeah, I love the. I mean, obviously Philip Seymour Hoffman too. I remember.
Yeah, funny character
Yeah,
that he played.
Funny character, but like suspicious of him the whole time, and it's kind of like the one character in Saltburn, the cousin. It's just like they can always tell you're not from money. Like that's what the giveaway is.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like they're like you are not this, and you won't ever be this, no matter how much you hang out with us, no matter how much you party with us. Yeah, it would be interesting to revisit because, like you said, it's an older movie. I mean, obviously it doesn't have fucked up scenes like fucking a grave and slurping a bathtub. But I mean, I remember it's fucked up in its own right in just a little different way. I think I told you this. I was like, it's similar concept, completely different execution from Saltburn. But really great performances from Matt Damon. I think it's definitely worth a revisit. I'm glad you actually watched it because Saltburn made me want to rewatch it, but I haven't taken that turn. But I just remember always really enjoying it.
Yeah, it was great.
You guys might have mentioned this, but I'm pretty sure this was a Harvey Weinstein production. All joke aside.
Whatever half of things were back then.
Wow.
And also, and again, sorry if you brought this up while I was jumped off for a second, but it's a weird thing with Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, and I find myself doing this a lot in movies where like Matt Damon's character is like clearly like a horrible person, but for some reason every time Philip Seymour Hoffman shows up and is like about to call him out on his shit, I'm like, please don't catch him.
Yeah, we need him to do this.
I'm like, why am I not wanting him to catch Matt Damon?
Yeah, and I love the end, like he doesn't even know who he is anymore. It's kind of like, I don't know. And I mean, what is it technically an ambiguous ending? I can't remember exactly. It's kind of like, did he kill? I mean, maybe it's very not ambiguous. I'm trying to remember if because I remember they're on the boat, right? And there's two people who know him in both ways.
So yeah, again, spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen this yet.
25 years old.
Yeah, I just watched this recently, so it's pretty fresh. But yeah, his other friend, God, I can't remember who he plays in there, but he takes a liking to him after Dickie, Jude Law's character, is dead. Yeah. Ben, or I can't remember his name now, but they're on the boat. He ends up killing him.
Yeah.
And then Matt, it is kind of open-ended. Matt Damon's just like in his cabin on the ship, and it kind of just zooms out, and that's kind of it. So it kind of leaves him contemplating whether he wants to continue the life as Tom Ripley or Dickie Greenleaf.
It's good to have options.
I mean, it's not.
Yeah, it's about
not bad.
Was this streaming on anything, or did you have to do like a Prime rental?
It had been suggested to me so many times, and I was so intrigued to watch it. Yeah, I had to rent it, so I went ahead and paid the $5.
Do you agree? I mean, I know you said there were similarities, but do you agree with the connection that people were getting to Talented Mr. Ripley?
Oh, for sure. Okay. Yeah. And
it hasn't been too long. I was trying to remember.
No, and like the main overarching theme is like he's just wanted to take over someone else's life. He's maybe envious. Also, there may be a little homosexuality as far as attraction there. So you get a lot of that vibe. And like you said, ultimately wanted to take over his life. And the way they do it in Talented Mr. Ripley is a little different. He actually takes over his persona and his name. Yeah. In Saltburn, he just kills the whole family so he can have their estate and live their lifestyle instead of his life. So, but yeah, definitely a lot of connections.
And I know Banner's a big fan of the book, Talented Mr. Ripley.
We only had Matt Damon
of course he is. Yeah.
Jude Law's bathtub water.
It was a deleted scene.
Missed opportunity.
No idea
What's
what
the
I
last
took
thing
it
you
out.
got, Horns?
I saw The Woman in the Window on Netflix. This was a few years ago with Amy Adams, and it actually spawned that like parody series with Kristen Bell called like The Woman in the House Across the Street from the Woman in the Window. That came out.
Yeah, I got you.
This was also based on a book. Have you guys heard of this, or do you remember when this came out?
No, but I'm
I've
looking
seen it on
on
Netflix,
IMDb
but
and like it's just watching like 2 seconds of the trailer is already very intriguing.
Yeah, so Amy Adams, it's sort of like a Rear Window slash Disturbia theme. Amy Adams is recently living alone. She got divorced from her husband, played by Anthony Mackie, and she is like having a traumatic time dealing with or I guess they're just separated. They're not officially divorced. And she is like mixing some of her like antidepressant medication with alcohol, which she knows she's not supposed to do. And she's having like some like weird like hallucinations of things, or she's like having short blackouts. And one day she gets new neighbors across the street, played by Gary Oldman, and Julianne Moore is his wife. And actually, Steve Zahn's son in the first season of White Lotus, the kid who's like obsessed with the Nintendo Switch, plays their kid. And she believes that she sees Gary Oldman murder someone across the street. And things go from there. And Wyatt Russell is also in it. He plays someone who's renting out her like downstairs room in this big apartment that she lives in. And the movie goes a lot of different places, lots of twists and turns. Like, did she actually see this? Was she kind of imagining it? This movie got shit on a lot, like to the point where it got parodied like a year later. But I really liked it. And the ending, I honestly did not see coming, the twist in it. So that was always helpful, because especially movies like this, it's like, all right, well, it's probably only like one of two things that can happen. But I thought it was pretty good at both building suspense and like had a kind of a unique ending to it that I was really not expecting. So I would recommend this movie. I think it's pretty interesting. And if you liked Disturbia or Rear Window at all, then I definitely think you'll like this.
or Clubhouse Detectives from the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, that's what everyone was thinking of. The Woman in the Window. All right, you guys got anything else? Ready to move on to the last part of the show?
Let's move on.
Quickly say, really quick, was going to mention that I noticed on my Peacock that someone has watched 6 episodes of Ted, the show. And I was like, I have no idea who has access to my Peacock. I mean, I don't care. I was just curious. I was like, I texted Jeff. I was like, hey, did you watch 6 episodes of Ted? Because I'm like, who did this? Was I blackout drunk? And Jeff was like, no, I have my own Peacock. And I was like, huh. Texted my one other friend.
Peacock, but like, I prefer to log into yours and watch.
Which is fine. I was just like, I'm just very curious who decided to watch 6 episodes.
Your wife did black out and watch all of
I accused her again, and she was like, why the fuck would I watch that stupid show? I hated that movie. But all that to say is I was like, okay, well, let me actually watch it. And I'm 3 episodes in, and it's actually pretty funny. Like
I've heard good things.
Yeah, it's a little more wholesome than the show itself. Like, it's not completely slapsticky and just like, drunk toilet humor or whatever like that. I will say, like, the guy who plays John, Max Burkholder is in the actor's name. It's just funny because he just basically has to do a Mark Wahlberg impression for the entire show. Like, that is the character. But it's really a funny premise that Ted is past his fame from being a living teddy bear, so no one cares anymore. And then they don't know what to do with him, so they're eventually like, look, just go to school with John. And Ted does not want to go to school. He's looking for any excuse to get like suspended. And then obviously just shenanigans. But it's a lot more wholesome and a lot more like, there's a little more depth to it. And there's obviously expansion on the family. He has a cousin who lives with them and his parents and that family dynamic. But Jeff, as someone who I know loved the Ted movie, like, I think you'll really enjoy it.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. That's a cool premise because in the Ted movie, if I remember right, he's kind of like come back into fame, or at least like people are obviously Giovanni Ribisi's character is obsessed with him, but people are like sort of interested in him again because he's like the former child star that's like fallen on hard times, and like that's an interesting story that people want to be a part of. So in this, for him to like have just hit the point where he's like not cool anymore is kind of cool.
Yeah, like no one cares at all.
Yeah.
But it's funny that people know who he is though. Like when he's walking around, they just like talk to him like he's normal. But they're like, dude, you're not. You're like, that's that. And he makes references about like his time in Hollywood. But yeah, I was, whoever watched it on my, if you're out there watching my Peacock, that's fine. Just like, let's talk about the show, you know?
This is the way to like smoke them out. They'll finally.
It's fucking Peacock, dude. Have access. I'm just like, so like, who did I accidentally leave Peacock running? And like,
NBC Universal is listening like, wait, hold up. Let's not just give anybody access.
I mean, there's only one thing for Peacock, and that's like the Office Superfan episodes. I'm like, thankfully, I get it free through Verizon or whatever.
Yeah, I got a great deal. I think I pay like $2.99 for like a month for the rest of the year. It's pretty sick. All right, on to the last part of our show, our protein shake. Sorry, that was the second part of our show. This is our Do You Even Lift, Brah? Without Brian here to do the bird noise, we're lost. Do You Even Lift, Brah is our question and answer segment where we drop a question, answer it as we leave you for this episode. Today we are continuing the question, what are the Bros' top 100 movies of all time? The list, as we are counting it down, is linked in the description of this episode and at the top of our website, bro4squad.com. Nate, we will let you go first. Before we do that, you're going to share your 45th through 43rd favorite movies, just ahead of the original Vacation, which you have at 46. But why don't you tell the people, what are these lists? Because they're not like a film student's top 100 movies or like a film professor's. They're a little bit different.
Yeah, so these top 100s are unique to us, especially even just within the pod. They're very, I've said this before, they're very varying. That's a weird word to say right in a row. They're very varied between the bros. So, I mean, someone's 45 and 46 could be as different as, I don't know, Godzilla, and then you'll have fucking Good Will Hunting right next to it. So you never know what you're going to get because they're movies that mean certain thing to us because we watched them a certain time in our life or whatever. But that's the good thing about these lists is they're our list and they're unique to us. And that's what's fun about the whole exercise is getting to know us a little bit more and getting to know ourselves a little bit more too as we go through this. So,
no, absolutely.
Yeah.
I got to say some craziness speaking about like the disparity in some of our lists. So your number 46 was Vacation from 1983. That was Cycly's number 45.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
That's fun.
So his number 45 is Vacation, which is your 46. Mine was the original The Santa Claus with Tim Allen. What is your number 45 favorite movie of all time?
So my number 45 is Gladiator. I know we're probably going to get like a lot of crossover now, getting into like the bottom 50 of everyone's list. So yeah, Gladiator. I mean, it's gonna be up there for a lot of us. It was one of the first epics that I remember, like epic films of this style that I remember hearing about, watching. So it came out in 2000. We were all around 12, 13 years old, something like that. So really getting into that boyhood age where you like the violence, you like the goriness and all that kind of stuff. And I remember this coming out and like some friends like saying, oh, my dad's going to go take me to watch this tonight. And I was in a household that would not want me to watch a rated R Gladiator movie. So it wasn't right when it came out when I first saw it. So it was probably a couple of years down the road. But this just gives this film more credit is that it still held up, even with all the hype I had behind it. I had been waiting to watch it for a couple of years at this point. I know it was awesome. It was getting all the publicity in the media. And then I watched it and it still held up. And I'll watch it every once in a while. I watched it not too long ago. And it's just compelling from beginning to end. And I don't know. It's one of those kind of realistic historical fictions that has some real people in it, has some real emperors in it, and it follows some of those timelines, but it takes a little twist on them. And yeah, it was one of the first ones. Go ahead.
It made like ancient Rome like more accessible, and like cycling kind of referenced last episode. It made it like cool again.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said before, I'm not good at explaining why I like these films. They just end up on my list, so I gush on them. But for a brief moment. But another thing is kind of fitting. Gladiator 2 is coming out this year, so
Yeah, I was gonna say, because we got to talk about it on the preview show, but you didn't get to join us. What's your excitement level for that? Are you like, don't fucking do it, or are you like, oh, okay, 4 years later, I'm interested.
I mean, I'm definitely interested. I mean, I just don't know which way it's going to go. I'm excited having Denzel in it, so that's going to be cool. But I mean, it has very high expectations to hold up to this movie, so we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, absolutely love this movie. I had it at 48 and 8, so we were really close again. I mean, I won't repeat what I said the other day, but everything you said hits on. This was my first DVD because this was right around the time VHS was transitioning. This was my introduction to really like how amazing Joaquin Phoenix is as a performer, and he deserved the Oscar more than Russell Crowe was, and that says something because Russell Crowe's amazing in it.
That's true.
But Joaquin Phoenix was. I think it was.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But not by much, right?
No, not by much. But yeah, this movie holds up as well as it did, in my opinion. I recently watched it last month, and man, it's just what a movie's supposed to be. Just like entertainment, romance. Again, kind of like the American RRR, a little bit of everything.
Yeah, there's some truth to that.
No, not to though.
Yeah, unfortunately, no dance.
If they could throw in a musical number, maybe put it over the top. Although it is very high.
Could you imagine?
Imagine entering the Coliseum.
Like out there.
Imagine entering the Coliseum with another man piggybacking on you to gain an advantage. A stick. They're like, what the fuck is this move?
That'd be awesome.
The piggyback. All right, Nate, that was your number 45. Cyclist was Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Banner's was Vacation. Mine was The Santa Claus. And we have not gotten Geiger's yet. Whenever Geiger comes on, he'll have to catch up. So next we go to your number 44. Yeah, your number 44 movie of all time. Cyclist was Django Unchained. Banner's was Die Hard, and mine was a movie that I think you also like a lot, Nate, Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah, I do. So let's see here. My number 44. It's kind of funny that this one pops up at this time, but my number 44 is Vegas Vacation.
Nice.
Coming in just two slots after.
It's like happening
after the original Vacation. So it's also funny. We were just talking about this with Gladiator coming out this year and saying, what are your expectations and how do you think it's going to hold up and all this? This is one of those Vegas Vacation. It came out 10 or so years after the last of the original trilogy for the Vacations. And man, it is fucking hilarious and it still holds up. If it's on TV, I will throw it on. Getting to revisit and see Uncle Eddie in his element. It's one of the, Uncle Eddie may be one of the funniest characters I've ever seen over an extended period of film. And he kind of makes these movies, and he's in a lot of this one too. Since he's moved out to Vegas, he's in it a lot. But yeah, there's just
you always go, give me a little of the yellow, and don't get cheap on me.
It's like we quote Wedding Crashers maybe more than any other movie, but this has some of the most quotable lines. Don't get cheap on me. And this is one of the ones that played a ton growing up on maybe TBS or TNT or whatever. So I know I watched this a ton. My dad loved this, so I would watch it with him. My mom's, one of her favorite quotes is talking about the damn bait. I'm your damn tour guide. If you have any damn questions, please let me know. Yeah, where can I get some damn bait? It's just so stupid.
So dumb, but still funny. Because they're at the Hoover Dam, we get it.
This with the original, at least the original small cast of Chevy Chase and then D'Angelo and Randy Quaid in it. They always switch the children up, so whatever. It doesn't matter about that.
I love how Russ became like our generation's Hamlet. Like every actor gets a turn, you know. Ethan Embry gets to go this time.
Yeah. But no, this one is like beginning to end, like just such a funny movie. It holds up, and even I think it gives it more credit because it's the fourth installment in this franchise, and it kills it. It's fucking phenomenal. It's Chevy Chase kind of right at the tail end of his career. Because I mean, I've never seen Community, but I know he gets into that, but it kind of falls apart. He may have had some racist things that he said. I don't know, but
yeah, apparently he's just a horrible human being.
Yeah. So this was kind of his swan song, as I see it.
Yeah, good way to end. Put $1 and I want a car. I put $1 and I want a
car.
Wasn't that Papa Giorgio?
Yeah, Papa Giorgio. You're in crap. He's like, you live in Yuma, and you're in computer something. I can't remember what it is.
Computers, yeah, it's software still.
Yeah,
I got to rewatch that. It's a good one. All right, let's all do our number 43 movie of all time. So, like, I want to let you go first. What's one ahead of Django Unchained on your list at number 43?
Yeah, we're gonna jump back into the comedies. This probably was a little higher on my list, maybe even 10 years ago or 5 years ago. But not since it's halted, it's dropped a little bit. But that's a compliment to some of the movies that have jumped it. But this is one of my favorite comedies of all time. I think it's one of everyone's favorite comedies. It's a movie Old School. Vince Vaughn, Will Ferrell. It's just Owen Wilson. Oh, not Owen Wilson. My gosh, Luke, the forgotten brother. Yeah, like I mean, this movie, I think, until Wedding Crashers was probably like our most quoted film. I mean, I think for us, it hit us in the perfect time in terms of where we were when we were when we saw this, right? Like we were just at that perfect teenage boy. What year was this, by the way?
04.
04.
Yeah, I was about to say it was
we were
high
definitely
school.
like, yeah, we were early high, like mid high school, 15, 16 years old. I mean, inherently quotable. We're on the verge of going to
2003,
college.
sorry. Wedding Crashers 04. This is 03.
Yeah, that makes it. Yeah, so 14, 15. Just looking forward to college one day and picturing what that was going to be like.
It was nothing like what was portrayed in the movie.
I mean,
although Jeremy Piven was our
up
dean.
through the quad and into the gymnasium.
And I dated Meredith Grey for a while.
Yeah. And Andy Dick gave you blowjob classes. I remember that one.
Crushing tiger hidden penis. Good job, Marissa.
It's just like, it's just one of those, like, I don't know. Sometimes when people talk about me, won't make comedies like they used to, and I'm not saying it in like the old curmudgeon way. It was just like this from top to bottom, like scene to scene. I mean, I have a couple comedies ahead of this, and what the comedies left on this list are comedies that literally have you rolling every scene.
Yeah.
That every other scene is entirely quotable and been like better than the next. We have in one of what was probably to me for a long time one of the most iconic scenes, Will Ferrell getting shot with a tranquilizer dart at Vince Vaughn's child's birthday party. I like you.
What else?
You're crazy. Like, this film is just inherent. Like you can see that when they were writing it, again, they just were like, how ridiculous can we get? The story of, Blue, the college kids that were on campus. The movie has enough. It's not just a stupid comedy. It has enough going on. It has enough story. It has enough depth in there to carry it over. This is before I think people were starting to get sick of Will Ferrell. I think well before that.
Oh, yeah.
And again, I haven't been hit as much as others on this pod have been with that, but it just really, to me, in terms of comedies, is not just one of the funniest movies that I remember the theater experience, just people laughing like so hard, uncontrollably. I can't remember the last time I was in a theater with people laughing like this. Like, I've seen plenty of comedies since, and nothing. There's a couple movies that are on this list that we'll talk about, but again, they're all mid 2000s comedies or earlier.
I know we're partial to like our like coming of age, but dude, that was a fucking like I don't even want to talk too much about this because it is coming up on my list, but I think I have like 3 movies from like a 4-year stretch that are all comedies.
Same. And I'm entering that stage in my list. So I know you guys both love this movie. I mean, it's hard not to. Just an incredibly fun film, and just I don't know. It's something that you would think that would have come from the '80s with the bad dean, the motivation serving
Oh, very true.
people. You and I are we're all in our 30s now, and we always joke about how we really haven't matured that much. We haven't changed that much. And when you're a teenager, like, oh, by the time I'm that age, I'll be like this. And now you're like, look back, like, yeah, I could totally see myself being like trying to be cool and want to like fit in with this. So
100%.
I could quote this movie all day. So I fucking love Old School.
Yeah. Nate, anything you want to add? Or if this is coming up on your list, you want to save most of it for when you get to it?
It's coming up on my list.
I will say Swingers was a movie that like missed me when it came out. So this was really my entryway into Vince Vaughn, the comedic actor. Because he'd done some serious parts before this. And talk about like, you know, the first time you drank beer or something. I mean, that was like my eyes had been opened. I was like, this guy is a fucking comedic genius.
Cock balls.
Making a point, Frank.
Kevin's just trying to make a point. Yeah.
One really underrated comedic scene, and Geiger and I always laugh about this, when he's hosting like the like welcome seminar at Mitch's house, and that one guy raises his hand, who's actually one of the actors on Big Bang Theory. Vince Vaughn goes, yeah, from the guy who probably won't even get in anyway, who of course they end up taking in the fraternity. And the guy goes, yeah, I go to school here, and just to be a dick, Vince Vaughn goes, okay.
Like, okay, like that's a prereq or anything. No one gives a shit.
Like that's a reason. Like that's a reason to raise your fucking hand. It's just like he hates this guy. He's gonna find any reason not to like his.
They're playing that perfect like old frat guy too, like just intimidating the hell out of everybody. It's perfect.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
God, fucking old school. We never watch that. All right, Nate. What is your number 43 right ahead of Vegas Vacation?
43 is Horrible Bosses.
Nice.
2011. So, I mean, there's a lot to this one. I think one of the main reasons it stands out and kind of stuck with me as one of my favorite, I mean, almost top 40 comedy, top 40 as a comedy, is that it came out in 2011. So we had gone through a ton of comedies throughout the early and late aughts. That we're probably going to talk about in my top 100 here shortly. But this one came out in 2011, a little bit after. So I think there was a little bit of a lag. And then this one came out and it fucking knocked my socks off. It just has, I mean, the three main guys in this, I love. Fucking phenomenal. I'll just say them for anyone who doesn't know who's in this movie, but Jason Bateman, Jason Sudeikis, and Charlie Day. So obviously three main guys.
Great
they're fucking
combination of comedic actors, like the way they work together.
Yeah. Sudeikis, Day. Sudeikis is like half a straight man, half a straight guy. Jason Bateman always usually plays a straight guy. And then Charlie Day is just
hilarious in that role. He's the
ridiculous. Yeah. And just the premise of this, I think it allows you to kind of get into it and feel those characters as well, because you've all had a fucking boss you've hated and you've kind of fantasized about them having a shitty day or torturing or, God forbid, kill them. But I think the genius behind this is the people that got to play the bosses. Kevin Spacey, whatever, he fit into the role. He's obviously, some things have come out. He's a weird shit, and he's played characters similar to this, but Jennifer Aniston, this is a role that I hadn't seen her in before. And Colin Farrell, I don't think I've seen him like in a role similar, like specific to this. And they got into this role and they fucking loved it. They were eating it up the whole time, and you could tell, especially Jennifer Aniston. Yeah. She's just playing the perverted dentist the whole time.
And the fact that she's obsessed with Charlie Day is the funniest part.
That adds to it. Like Charlie Day, like he's not ugly, but he's not fucking Brad Pitt either. So she's just like, oh, let me see that little pee and sprays water. It's the most ridiculous shit ever. But yeah, like I said, a lot of things factor into this, like that almost gap year between all the comedies I love from the aughts. This came out, fucking knocked my socks off. The cast of the leading guys in it, and then the kind of out of character antagonists that they got to put in these bosses roles, and you could tell they loved these roles and they killed it. So all that culminated together. I put this up there with Step Brothers because I know in our class of people, like Step Brothers is up there, Superbad is up there. I put this up there with those two. This is a great comedy.
Yeah, and it's not talked about enough. Like a lot of
No.
times people exclude it from that like elite echelon, but I'm glad
Exactly.
you have it at 43 too.
I need to revisit it. I've only seen it once and was in
Oh,
theaters,
come
and I remember
on.
liking it, but I just never.
And
watched
dude,
it again.
the second one is pretty funny too with Chris Pine and Christoph Waltz.
It's not a bad sequel. It's not a bad sequel.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, my last one. I had Jojo Rabbit at number 44. At number 43, I have Crazy Stupid Love.
Oh, wow. Okay, nice.
Yeah. With Steve Carell, Ryan Gosling, Julianne Moore, Emma Stone, Kevin Bacon as David Lindhagen. Among others. Just a great movie.
Even in today's world, you may be able to put this movie up on its merit just by any GIFs or Ryan Gosling GIFs that have come out of it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I think great.
Yeah. He's got some really good ones. The quote that I led off the show with was of course him talking to Steve Carell.
Yeah.
Marissa Tomei is in it as well. She has a pretty great role.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. And this movie works on a couple levels. So it follows really like three different romances, all that are interconnected. If you haven't seen it, there is like a pretty significant twist halfway through that's pretty fun that I don't want to spoil for you. But I think Ryan Gosling has had some great comedic roles. And you could probably now argue that Barbie is up there with it. But this one, he's just absolutely incredible in it. Steve Carell plays, this is the perfect combination of him for drama and comedy, I think. And Emma Stone is just having the time of her life in this. So it tugs on your heartstrings. It shows the importance of relationships and working through, differences, especially as you get older and grow apart. And then it also talks about like why it's important to fight for the people in your life that you care about. And it's fucking hilarious.
Man.
So I've never seen this, but
really?
Recently on Twitter or X, sorry, like a scene from this movie like trended, and I was literally watching the scene. I'm like, what the fuck movie is this that has Ryan Gosling, Emma like Steve Carell? I'm like, what? How did I miss something? Like, I don't know where I was when this movie came out, but the scene was hilarious, and I won't give anything away. But the scene was like obviously a climax of the film. But there's basically a massive brawl that takes place.
Yeah, so you've seen the twist then.
Yeah, I've seen the twist, unfortunately. But I didn't know what was going on. But it very much made me want to... I still don't know what, led to the brawl or anything like that. But,
when Ryan Gosling goes,
definitely winning me
"You're
over.
David Lindhagen?" And he takes off his ring.
Yeah, he, gets, pissed off. And then, everyone is revealing themselves and no one knows who anyone is. And the neighbor gets involved. So that's all I've seen from this movie. I knew nothing about it before, but that scene made me want to watch it. And now that you brought this up, I was like, oh, maybe there is something to it. So I appreciate
watch it with
that.
the wife, and you will both have the time.
Do I have to watch it with her? God damn it.
Or you could watch it in separate rooms. I think that might
I'm an independent, strong man.
You are, absolutely. No one can take that away from you. Yeah. This is a movie that I think I probably watch about every year. It was on Netflix over the summer. I think it's gone now because Netflix licensing deals are weak, or not weak. Well, maybe they're weak. They're a little bit weird, but I'll find it again this year. I'll hunt it down and give it my annual go.
So I think I did look this up because I was curious after seeing that clip, and I was like, that actually looks like a fun movie to watch, and I didn't see it streaming anywhere. So I might have to check out my local library that you gave me a library card to. So
nice. Yeah. Which it's unfortunate. I think I feel like it's Universal. Maybe it's not because they would probably put it on Peacock. But again, none of these deals make any sense anymore.
Nah.
To me. All right. Well, before we let the people go for episode 217, any closing thoughts, Nate? We'll go to you first.
Yeah, I will say that in my older age, I've come to the realization, I never was this way earlier in my life, but if you find something specifically like clothing that you like a nice shirt or pants or anything at all, and you like the way it fits, buy like 10 of them. You won't regret it. I think I've lived before this a whole life of just like mix and matching shit and like, but now if I find something I really like it, I'll just buy 5 or 6 of them, and I've never regretted it. You always like the way it fits, buying a couple different colors, so you can wear it multiple days in a row, but you're changing it up, so it's not really the same item. But yeah, if you ever find that one article of clothing that you really like, whether it's underwear, socks, or whatever, just buy a ton of it. You won't regret it, and then you'll make yourself happy.
I love it because I have a bunch of soccer shorts and a bunch of crew necks, and that's the only thing I wear.
That's all you need.
You know what you
like.
Yeah,
I'll just echo what Nate said. I'll change my advice. Invest in comfy and quality socks.
Bingo.
No one has ever said, "Oh man, I regret having comfortable socks on today." No one's ever said that. And the sock game now, man, there are some really fun, like, stylish socks you can get, and they're all like work appropriate now. I can't think of anything outside of like Dick's or like threat of nuclear war being printed on your socks that you could wear that people be like, that's a little bit much.
I work at home now, and like my one act of rebellion and keeping myself young was awesome fun socks.
Do you show them off on like Teams calls?
Oh, yeah, I'm like always about like, no, give me.
It's like, why is the camera pointed at your ankles?
Oh, you don't like that, Jim? Because your mom liked it last night.
Okay.
Anyway, on to Exhibit B, since I am a lawyer. What segue is that?
I get really personal in my depositions.
Very quickly, too. I will snap an heartbeat. All right, for our legal counsel, Ronnie Cycli, and the American hero, Nate Thurmond, I'm the mayor, Jeff Hornacek. We are the Bro Force Squad podcast. Thank you guys for checking us out. You can find us on Twitter, X, Instagram, Threads, all those places at Bro Force Squad. We're also on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, I said Apple already, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio. Anywhere you can find us, Bro Force Squad as 3 separate words, and our squad blog, which Cycli will have his RRR essay posted on for you, and our top 100 list, and everything we've ever done ever is at our website, broforcesquad.com. Until next time, we'll see you at the sock store, which is for me online. So I'll see you on the internet.
Yes. Just go grab some nice stands.